In terms of innovation, how do you ensure that the restaurant is always delivering something fresh, new and exciting for the customers? Do you go around to other restaurants and nab their ideas? Do you go abroad? Do you have a strategy for making sure, and also that challenges your team and your chefs as well? How does that work?
I wouldn't necessarily say we have a strategy, but what we do now is we focus on making sure that every month we change what we call a tasting menu, which we do from each region of Italy. We change our lunch menu every 2 to 3 weeks, and then we change our a la carte every 3 months. But yes, one, it's eating out a lot. You know, I took some of my team to New York and we ate for 3 days, breakfast, lunch and dinner. Websites, you know, I'm constantly, if I'm changing a menu, going, and it's not to necessarily say, oh, I'm going to take that dish idea, but it's more to think, oh yeah, cob nuts are in season, or that's in season. It just, inspires you to do it. Not necessarily markets in this country, but more going to suppliers. If you go down to the farms, you go to the fish suppliers, you go to the meat, the big markets, and directly to suppliers, that will inspire you. But you do, and whether you want to admit it, all the gastronomy of foams and jellies and all the new wave of cooking, if it's not your style, I don't think you should do it, but I think you have to embrace it to a certain extent, because young cooks want to understand it, acknowledge it, all these different products. And one of my pastry chefs loves all this, and I say, as long as it fits with the dish and it makes sense to our style of food, I will embrace, but I don't particularly want you to put something on a plate that doesn't match with the rest of the dish and you don't eat, because it makes no sense.
Yeah. Now, I think there are around 140 Michelin star restaurants, but only 11 run by women. Do you think that's going to change over the course of the next few years as more women do come into the trade?
I think there are more women coming into the trade for sure. And there's more women running restaurants. I think the problem we have as well is that restaurants may necessarily be owned by men. For instance, Nigel Howarth owns, oh my God, what does he own? It's up in Lancashire, but I can't remember. But he owns it, but he's got a female head chef. The Gavroche is run by Michel Roux, but he has a female head chef. So you need more women to maybe start running them, so their profile certainly comes up. Yeah, there's always going to be a degree, because people, whether we like it or not, people look at a woman when they come in and go pastry, cold starters. They don't go put them on the fish and meat, run the pass. I think we're quite good. I mean, Pippa runs the fish and meat section at Murano. We've got Millie, who's the other one, it's run by women. So it's not that. It's not the man's better at the job than the woman at all. It's more that they want to do the hours sometimes. It is antisocial. And it's hot and it's tiring, and do you want to do that? And without doubt, if you have a baby, it is going to be hard to then take 9 months off, 10 months off. But, I've got 3 guys in the kitchen. I've got more paternity leave this year than I care to shake a stick at, and I would happily, But so, you have to appreciate that people want to have a life, and that applies to women and men. I don't think it makes a difference.
Yeah. OK, well, we've skated across lots of different issues there. I'm now going to open it up to the floor to see what you'd like to ask. And we've got a couple of microphones coming down. So who has the first question for Angela today?
Interested in what you were saying about your staff and the attitude. So I've got a 2-part question. One is, when you discover people have the wrong attitude, how quickly do they leave? Or, what do you do? And also, those that you see with potential, how do you progress them? Because I imagine it's a very tight triangle. I mean, where do they go next? And how do you recognise and keep those really good people? Yeah,
I mean, now more so. I think, one, if people haven't got the right attitude, you have to now, as we all do in every business, manage them out. The days of 10 years ago where you could say, go, you're fired. Even you probably couldn't do it 10 years ago, but no one would know their rights, so you could get away with it if you like. You have to do disciplinaries, you have to follow every HR procedure, and you have to be very, rigorous about it, and also very fair, because you can't just focus on one individual, and if other people have got the same problems, not manage them as well. So that's generally it. And I think people with bad attitude in kitchens, they're very tight. They tend to eventually leave in a month or so. It does seem to work, and I think that's more by just human nature, that they've not fitted in and they move on, which is, in a way, you failed sometimes if that happens, because you haven't managed the situation and you haven't brought the best of them out. And I'm all for giving people a chance. We've got one guy at the moment, he probably doesn't fit in out of anyone, but, you have to support him and you have to make sure you do, because he is doing a decent job. Just because people don't necessarily like him as a person to go and have a beer with, that's irrelevant, you know. And that's why I always say to guys, you know, it's not about it's not about making friends necessarily. You just have to get on with people civilly because you have to work with them, but you don't have to love them and want to, you know, go and live next door to them.